Welcome to the You Are More podcast. I'm Blaine Ledbetter.
And I'm Laken Stewart. If you're looking for an authentic community that shares the truth of the gospel and the truth about life, you've come to the right place.
We believe that you are more. You're more than motherhood, more than your ministry, and more than your career. Grab a cup of coffee and listen in to hear the truth about what it means to find your identity in Christ through every season of life.
Welcome to the You Are More podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to the You Are More podcast. Laken here, and Blaine is on the screen next to mine on Zoom, and we are happy to be back. Back from Thanksgiving, back from the turkey, back from all the fun holiday things, and we are now in December. Like, how is that 1st. Even possible? We're recording this on December 1st to air on, I guess, the 6th.
Yeah.
But
wow.
I know my oldest turns 3 on the 4th, and I'm like, how is that even possible? Three-nager, so here we go. No, but yeah, it's been, I feel like November, you literally blink and it's over.
Someone, I saw a meme that was like, November just slipped right in, got a plate of leftovers, and then just slid right out. Like, just like, oh, I'm gonna pop in and out. That's it.
That's November.
I felt that. Yeah.
I felt that deep in my soul, probably because we just moved and getting into new rhythms. And then I feel like Thanksgiving just always sneaks up on me, because sometimes it's the last week of November.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like the week before. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but it feels weird.
Well,
it's December already.
I don't know if you felt like this, but I had this thought this morning that I almost feel like we need to have already gotten all of our Christmas activities over with, all of our Christmas shopping over with, and that we are already behind because it's the week after Thanksgiving and like it's full on holiday
the pressure.
Season. I'm like November is literally not even over yet, which I mean, it is now. But yes, when I was thinking that, I was just like, why do I feel so behind? I feel like I'm in a time warp. Like you said,
I definitely feel the pressure of having to like do all of the fun things and make sure your kids get a picture with Santa, and make sure you go see holiday lights, make sure you go to the town tree lighting, make sure you're doing all of these things.
Everything that's offered. Yeah.
Everything that's offered, because you feel like it's like experiences do shape a childhood. I fully believe in that. I don't think things shape a childhood, but also, like, if you're a mom or a parent that just does not have capacity to do all the things, don't feel bad about that. You can make magic in your house. Like, you don't have to get out and do all the things to make the magic of the season.
And I feel so, I cringe when I see, and you can't control how your kid's going to act, but like when you see people at these experiences, like, you know, around here, we have the Polar Express train ride, or some celebration with Santa, or the parade, or, you know, the lighting, or looking at stuff, some big event, and you've just placed such big expectations on this being so fun and magical and exciting and happy for your kids and your family, and then everyone ends up melting down, and it's like, was that worth it? Because you just went during their nap time. Do you think that like, no, because I've just learned a long time ago that our expectations for any event are going to be on the floor,
beneath the floor, in the basement.
Any time. And I know that some people also have placed so much value on it monetarily that it like you want to get your money's worth. But if at any point our kids start melting down, or we know that it's about to crash and burn, immediate exit. I mean, we're making an emergency
Yep.
exit off the airplane, slide down the blow up slide, get off that airplane as quickly as possible.
I know.
Go home, get in your pajamas, and everyone just decompress. And
Yeah.
it's okay to have that.
It's okay. Yes. And yeah, I feel like there's just so much pressure this time of year to just like make sure your kids have fun. And like, yes, you want your kids to have fun and you want your kids to enjoy the holiday season and like set the expectations from the beginning and being like, hey, if this, and this happens, we're out. Like, because it's not worth the sanity.
Just this weekend, our town does a Cookies with Santa event, and it's not like a go and stand in line. It's like go in, grab your cookies, y'all sit there and decorate, go up and see Santa. It's very, I personally really like it. I feel like it's low pressure, even if we wanted to just grab the cookies and leave. But because of the day that it fell on and the time, we ended up just saying, they're going to do other things that same day. So let's just forego that this year. And so we're just going to pop in and see Santa at another business in town this weekend, but just very quickly, like, no pressure. But it's probably been 2 weeks ago. I don't even think I told you this, but I just asked all 3 kids flat out. I was like, what do you want to do this Christmas season?
Yeah.
Like, what is your one activity you pick? Because now they're at the age that they know what we've done before and they have ideas. And so each of them gave me one thing and I wrote it down and I said, that's all we're going to do. And that's all we're going to do. And I'm like, I'm not gonna sign y'all up for all this stuff and like take you to all these events if you really don't care.
I know.
Like to go at all.
I know, especially, and I think that kind of leads into what we're going to be talking about today is toddlers. Toddlers are unpredictable and feral and but also sweet. And gosh, my oldest is so empathetic and just she wears her heart on her sleeve, and they're like little Sour Patch Kids. One minute they are a holy terror, the next minute they're all up on your face saying I love you and giving you kisses. So I think as we think about the last few weeks of the year and kind of all of the festivities, seeing family and trying to do all of the things that aren't necessary but are fun, how do we deal with toddlers? Like, how do we help them navigate this like crazy overstimulating world we live in?
We have these table rules. We call them table rules, but anytime we go out to a restaurant, they have to tell us our table rules before we ever walk in. And so just remembering those at all these things to clearly communicate with our kids what behavior we expect. Like, hey, we're going in here, we're sitting at the table, we're going to eat our supper, we're not going to play like run around, fight, punch, kick, bite each other. That's what they always say. It's so funny. But then at the same time, I'm like, kids are kids. They can't sit nice, neat, still, perfectly quiet for hours. So we'll communicate with them what we expect and just like how we behave in public, but at the same time I can't control literally anything they do. I mean, I can't.
No,
I cannot control toddlers anymore. No. I've given up.
No. It's one of those things where if you have a toddler or have had a toddler, may the Lord be with you, because it is a wild ride. So Blaine, where are you kind of at in the toddler stage with your kids? I know a few of your kids are older.
We're kind of getting out of the toddler stage. Well, we're in the thick of the toddler stage with our youngest, and then the middle child is about a year removed from that toddler, what I consider toddler age, because she's preschool. So at this point, the middle child and the oldest, they know you don't color on the walls. They know where the bathroom is. Like I'm giving them ownership in their home.
Yeah.
They have responsibilities, they have chores. I'm not doing everything around here. But being in the thick of toddlerhood with a 2-year-old it's a lot. It leaves me speechless some days. And that third kid is like, I don't care about any rule or expectation that you've ever set for any child before me. I will not obey. I do not care how many times you've disciplined me. I will not obey. I mean, that's where we're at right now. It's not even like mean defiance. It's just like happy-go-lucky. I don't really care what's going on in the world. Like,
I see something I want to do. I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna do
don't
it.
Care. Yep. I know we are in the thick of toddler years right now. Our oldest turns 3 on December 4th, so 2 days ago from when this is airing. And I don't know if I don't see how 3 could be any worse than 2. I've heard that 3 is worse than 2, but truly, I don't know.
I think it depends on the 2 that you already have. But I do have a firstborn boy, and he is just so like, whatever. He'd rather be up climbing that tree right now, but
that is not Charlotte.
He's so like, whatever you want to do, whatever you want me to wear, I'll do whatever. I don't care.
No.
Yeah.
See, that is not our little firecracker. I think she has like second child syndrome, but she's a firstborn. I don't know if anyone understands that, but like every meme I see about firstborn children versus the secondborn children, I'm like, my kids are the opposite. Like,
maybe it's the firstborn being a girl, because
I think it is.
I was the firstborn girl, and my mom definitely says I'm paying for everything I did to her.
Yeah,
with my own children.
I know.
So I'm like, okay, maybe I was awful.
I know. I know. We yeah, and then our youngest, she will be, how old will she be? She will be 21 months this month. And I'm like, how is that possible?
Yeah.
Makes me want to cry. Crazy. In just the last like 3 or 4 weeks, she has exploded with like things that she's trying to say in her little language and just like really trying to communicate, but also has so many emotions. Like she does this,
the hardest thing to navigate.
Yeah, she does this thing where like she uses a pacifier still, much to my chagrin. But every time she can't find her passy, she'll walk around like with her arms crossed and all grumpy and be like, "Where, Pappy? Pappy?" And I'm like, "What is happening?"
She is angry and letting you know it one way or the other.
And then when she is really mad, she becomes destructive, like banging on the stove, throwing the little kid chair. And I'm like, I have to put you in timeout because you're not being safe. So we just stick her in the high chair and lock her in there for 10 minutes because
that's a great, you can see that they're going to hurt themselves and they can't understand that what you're doing is to protect them.
I know. And she's just like screaming and crying and trying to climb out of the high chair. And I'm just like, oh, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. Sometimes I like just stick her in the high chair and then I have to leave the room because I am like on the verge of exploding.
I told someone that our middle child is like the Hulk. Like when she's calm, she is like best mood, like pleasant to be around, so funny. All my kids are hysterical somehow. Like their humor, they're just funny. Yeah. But when that switch flips, she could run through that wall and not feel a thing. It is like the drop of a hat. And so we often have to remind her, like, all of our kids, we don't get what we want by acting the way that you're acting. You have to calm down, and it's okay to be angry. That is a good emotion to get out, but you're not going to hurt yourself or others in the meantime. No. And so like go cool down in your room, go take a walk outside. I'll be like, get outside, because
Take your
You have to
screams
calm
outside.
down.
We don't scream
Yes.
inside. Take them outside.
Yes. Apologizing to each other. I'm just like, you can have these strong emotions, but man, trying to like get a hold of, letting those emotions out in a healthy way is really hard for a toddler. They're not going to comprehend it.
I mean, it's hard for an adult. Like,
oh yeah,
I have to restrain myself sometimes.
Often. Well, and I think that we expect toddlers to act like adults when their little brains are not even fully developed until, for boys, close to 17, 18, 19 years old. So
I would
it's
say
just
25.
I know that it's hard for me to even like get my emotions out, but we can't, expect them to keep that anger in, or but also just trying to teach them like it's good to be angry, but you cannot with your words like disrespect us or your siblings or whatever. So that's a whole, I don't even know if anyone has great advice on that. We'd love to know it. That's all I can say.
I think I've said this before, but I feel like society at large, especially, our parents' generation and generations before them, believe that babies and toddlers and little kids are way less physically capable than they actually are, and way more emotionally capable than they actually are. So like our toddlers can do so much like physically, like my 21-month-old, she just like climbs on everything, jumps off everything, and I just kind of let her do it and figure it out.
Yeah.
But then whenever like my mom is around, she's like what's happening? Like,
so scared.
And I'm like, she is literally fine. And then like when there's a meltdown, like I know in my mind, like it's she's melting down because she doesn't know how to properly use tools to calm herself. And like I've had to work on those tools, you've had to work on those tools, our parents have had to work on those tools. And so it takes years and years and years of learning and relearning what works for you. And like they're literally 2, and yes, they might be controlling the situation, but that's what toddlers do. Toddlers control the situation. And we as parents can sit there and let them control it, or we can work in tandem with them to control the situation together. Because if it's just you, like just you as the parent trying to control the toddler, that's not going to work. You have to work together. You have to work together to figure out a solution that's good for you, the parent, and them, the child. And I think so often, like, I think millennial parents get the most, I don't know what the word is, smack for this, of like, you're not controlling your child, or they're controlling you. And I'm like, well, it's a battle for control, but also it's let's meet in the middle and work on this together. So instead of like, me or you like sitting down yelling at our kids, or spanking our kids without telling them why, or whatever, like, yes, that will do well to control your child, but then they're also not developing the skills of conflict resolution and like talking.
There's no changed behavior.
There's no changed behavior. They're only changing their behavior because of fear. And so like that's not, in my mind, and I think in your mind too, Blaine, that's not how we should be communicating with our toddlers, because we wouldn't communicate that way with our husbands or our friends. Like, why would we communicate that way with our children? So that's my soapbox.
No, that's like I said, like their brains can't comprehend boundaries or limits, or just like when enough is enough. And so even for thinking, you think through that for emotions, but also for me, like safety wise, like my kids, we are very much not, we're the opposite of helicopter parents. I'm like,
oh, same.
Yeah, my kid's up a tree. Like if he falls, I just pray he's okay. I mean, like he's done it enough now that I'm not scared of that anymore. but also I'm like that he's learning through exploring and jumping and moving. And it is my job to give those boundaries in terms of like, I guess kind of guardrails of like, hey, like that's probably not safest because I can see that this could lead to you doing this, and this.
Yeah.
Or, hey, you've watched TV for 3 hours already today. I think that's enough. Because in their mind, they're never gonna know that, oh, I've consumed too much TV. Like,
Yeah. They just want to watch TV because it's
and so it's our
mindless and
job to
fun.
just be there and say, okay, I'm gonna guide you. I can't control you, but in a sense, of course, I'm going to take away the remote and turn the TV off. Yes. And there'll be that whole meltdown. But at the same
Yes,
time, it's
every
like,
day.
I promise, like, I need you to trust mommy that she knows what's best for you. And
Exactly.
I'm not doing this just to be mean. I am doing it because I know that your little body needs to rest, or, you do need to get out and play. Like bedtimes, my kids would stay up till midnight. Well, one of them, if I'd let them just
Yeah.
up playing. And I'm like, I know that your body needs rest. And so I can't force you to go to sleep, but I can create the environment in which you need to sleep and tell you
Yeah.
that, bedtime is right now and you do have to lay down.
And
I
it's an
can't physically
important
shut
part.
your
Yeah.
eyes. Yes, but I can, nurture that you have to go to bed. Like,
Yeah.
we
And
all need to rest, and it's important.
Yeah. And that's, I think, the balance, we as parents are trying to strike is we can guide our children to the right. It's kind of like the whole sleep analogy. We can guide our children to their rooms and their beds, but it's up to them whether or not they close their eyes.
Yeah.
And it's the same with like every other facet of our children's lives, no matter if they're a newborn or an 18-year-old, like we can guide them in the direction that we think would be best for them, but it's ultimately up to them to choose and to discern that for themselves. And I know like you're in a different stage of parenthood than me, and I'm sure some that are listening are in a different stage of parenthood. I don't think I've necessarily hit this stage of parenthood of like, let me give you all of these tools and you just walk out in the street and do them or not do them. But really, like when they're this age, like my kid's age, 20 months, almost 3, like you're building the foundation for that, and that foundation of trust of like, hey, I can come to mommy when there's something wrong. I don't have to hide my emotions and feelings. Like mommy and daddy are a safe space to come to and like express what I'm feeling. And I think sometimes letting our kids just have a meltdown and get all the feelings out is sometimes what's best for them.
Yeah.
Because it's probably
feel that
pent up over time. And like when they're teenagers and they come to you and like, hopefully they want to come to you. And like when their heart is broken by that first, significant other, like they want to come to you and cry in your arms. Like these years right now are developing the foundation for that to happen. And I think that's such an important part of building the foundation. And if you haven't started that, this isn't to like shame anyone who has done a different style of parenting. Like you do what's best for you and your family. But I know that Blaine and I want to encourage you, like it is gospel centered to sit down and relate to your child and hear them. And like Jesus said, let the children come. And that's what our job is as parents, is to just let them come to us and unload.
We I know you guys are not around or like close to family geographically, but we are. And so while we were gone on our anniversary trip, our kids stayed at grandparents, and we knew this was going to happen, but it does usually happen anytime they stay overnight with grandparents. When they get back to us, behavior
chaos.
it's like I'm grateful that they were great for my in-laws and my parents, but they're unloading all of their emotions that were pent up, that because we are their safe place, they do feel safe enough to just release that. That's why, with the exception of a few days, I mean, most of the time at school, my kids are really great. But when they get home, they're going to unleash everything because they feel safest with me. And and Andrew. And so it can be very tiring and taxing for us. But, you know, in those moments, there were some discipline issues that needed to be addressed and handled. But at the same time, we did have to talk to our kids to say, what's going on? Did anything happen? Did you not feel safe? Were you hurt? Just trying to get stuff out of them. And so
instead of trying to control that behavior, finding out like why that behavior is happening.
Yeah. I'm like, there's still consequences to an action that you had, but you're not in trouble for this behavior as a whole, but there are consequences to your anger going a little too far with your siblings or me and daddy. And so that's hard to navigate, but also just, being honest with our kids, like, I don't like being angry with you. I don't like disciplining in the sense of like spanking or whatever. Like, it's not pleasurable, but I also know that, we can't discipline out of our own anger.
No. Yeah.
And so we've got to calm down and say, I'm doing this because I love you and I want you to be like a good human being. But we can do everything. We can guide them in the way of the word, in the truth of the gospel, and still, they are at the end of the day
gonna make
their own decisions. That's
no matter what age they are.
Any age from now till we all go home to see Jesus. Like, we just are being obedient in our parenting, and however our kids respond, we just want to guide them, but can't, I don't know. So that's my soapbox on that.
So Blaine, what I want to we've been talking about the heavy things of the toddler years. I would love to hear like your top 2 like most ridiculous toddler stories. And
as you can see in our notes, I've written several, but I will be very brief and just sit back, grab your popcorn. I got it. Okay. Because I can't wait to hear yours. I know that you tell me often, but I'm just like, honestly, so half the time I'm like, am I being punked? Like,
seriously, is there a hidden camera somewhere?
Is this real life? Yeah.
Candid camera throwback to 2001. Like,
is this a Truman Show? Like, I've never watched that, but is this a Truman Show? Like, are y'all doing this on purpose? Anyways. So, I was out in public with my middle child. So she would have been like 2.5 at the time, and my newborn, and she was potty trained at the time. And so, of course, we're out in public, like running some errands, and she's got a pee at like probably the grossest place, grossest bathroom ever, because that's my luck.
Yeah.
And so, and I, at the time, was like, I think wearing my youngest child in a wrap on me. But then I also needed to sit my other child on the potty, and it was just this whole like octopus arms or something. Like, I was just like, I had an arm under my kid and trying for the baby not to fall into the toilet water, and also drop my sunglasses, and like, it was a
my gosh,
just fiasco that I was like,
and you're just hoping that no one else is in the public restroom hearing you struggle.
I'm like, I can't do this. It was a lot, but really talented, honestly. And then I think it's probably been about a year and a half ago, one of my children put gum in his sister's hair.
Oh no.
Like at bedtime.
Input the peanut butter. You got to use peanut butter to get it out.
Yeah. So I was like, how do I get this out? Oh yeah, peanut butter. So I did that, and her hair was really long. And so,
of course, it was
am I going to get this
whole
out?
fiasco.
Yeah. She wasn't crying a ton, but still, like, she's a little tenderheaded. So it's not like it didn't hurt. So that was fine. I was like, oh, we're in the clear. Great. The very next night, she put a bead up her nose and got a bead stuck in her nose.
OMG.
I'm like, I'm not going to the emergency room to get this stupid bead out. So I'm just like on Facebook, like, how do I get a bead out of a nose? And thankfully, one of my friends who works or used to work in the ER was like, this is a trick. Did it? It worked. It was fine. I like did not know how this bead was going to come out because it was so far up there and
did you use
big.
like the Frida baby?
No, you just
thing?
like you plug one side and blow in their mouth, and it
that worked.
Okay, so just tip, yeah. So if you ever need to know, I'm here. I need to just write a book on like tips to deal with your crazy toddler.
Seriously.
So yeah, and then I thought, okay, this is like the worst that she's gonna do. I hope she never has to get stitches. Well, then she got a tick bite a few months ago, and that just blew everything else out of the water because she was like, the tick is eating me. It's never gonna get off of me. It's eating me alive. Like I'm gonna die.
The drama.
I was like, you are so dramatic. And of course, like it was a whole deal to get it out. We got it out and she's fine. But
Did you have to use a match?
All my kids, I didn't use a match. I used like pliers and not pliers, tweezers and fingernail clippers. It was awful. It was awful.
That
I was like,
terrible.
why of all my kids, why couldn't this have been like my oldest who had been like, oh yeah, cool, I mean, get it off, but whatever. Last one, quick one. We were at the Christmas parade a few years ago, and they're throwing out candy from some of the floats, and one of my kids decides to pick up what they thought was candy and put it in their mouth, and it was a used cigarette butt. So
how does that make you not vomit? Just even saying it.
I was not fine. I was not fine. I was like, dear Jesus, please protect my child.
Seriously.
I freaked out. I was like, dear Lord in heaven, protect him. Please, no diseases. In the name of Jesus, I will anoint him with oil and heal his body. But I cannot. So he also never gets sick. So, like maybe it was just an immunity thing. But I was like, this is
one, it's a cigarette with like drugs in it, and two, someone else's mouth has been on it. So there's just like all of those variables.
So there you go.
There we go.
So Laken, passing that ball to you, what happened? Let's hear it.
Yeah. Gosh, my most recent toddler is this week. I don't know about y'all, but when there's a freaking full moon, like my kids go insane. Like
instantly. Yeah.
When the moon is full, it's like all the wolves are howling and my kids are in all of that. Mm-hmm. I'm usually not like I'm not a zodiac sign moon person, but I fully believe when there is like a full moon or Mercury's in retrograde or like there's a blood moon, like my kids are acting insane. I blame it on the moon. This week, it was this past Monday, Blaine and I were on a work call with the owner of our company and this other lady that we're meeting with about just a service we're going to start using for a Cordis. And my kids were in the basement watching Mickey Christmas because that's all they want to watch right now is the Mickey Christmas on Disney. And I'm on this Zoom meeting with my camera on. And all of a sudden, both of my children are upstairs, buck naked. I mean, they are stripped down. Like, Lila took her diaper off. Charlotte, they're just living their best life. And they go streaking on my call. The front door is open with the storm door. And they're just like showing everybody their goodies on the storm door. It is a total chaos fiasco. Well, then during this call, my older child takes a dining room chair, brings it over to the refrigerator, opens the freezer, and just starts helping herself to frozen chicken nuggets and Go-Gurts. And so then when I get off this call, they are both standing on this chair with the freezer door wide open, gnawing on frozen chicken nuggets and Go-Gurts. And I'm like,
Oh
Is
my
this
gosh.
is life simulation right now? Like, what is
Is
happening?
this real?
And then like Lila pees all over the floor because
Mhm.
she's naked, doesn't have a diaper on, not potty trained yet.
Yep.
And I'm just like,
Perfect.
this could not. Like, I think I went
Oh
camera
my
off like
gosh.
6 or 7 times during that call, and I just couldn't even deal with it.
That's amazing.
It was the most toddleristic day I've ever had. I'm trying to think of another story. I feel like there's so many that I can't even. I'll tell you, this isn't like a funny one. Well, it is funny now that I look at it because I'm like, how on earth did I get through that? We were on a trip. It was me and my girls. We flew to Waco to visit some friends, and on the way home, I don't know if I've shared this yet on the podcast, but we all got the stomach bug. And when I tell you, all of us got the stomach bug on a plane, I mean, like, I'm holding my 1-year-old. She's throwing up all over me. I'm throwing up in a bag. My 2-year-old is screaming at me because she wants to watch a Disney movie on the iPad. And
Oh
it
my
is just
gosh.
like the most
That still
chaotic.
traumatizes me
I
for
don't think
you.
I'll ever get on a plane like again. It was
That I'm
truly,
traumatized for you.
it was, and like my mom picked us up at the airport, and as soon as I saw her, I just started crying, and I was like, take these children away from me. I have to go throw up again. Like, I just couldn't even deal with it.
Yep. I feel like, tell me stuff all the time. You're like, well, my kids are doing this, and this. I'm like, yeah, it's normal. It's just, like, it doesn't shock and awe me
No, it
anymore
doesn't shock.
because
No, my kids
you
are so
tell me, and I'm like,
insane.
it's fine. It's fine.
I know we went to visit Santa a few weeks ago because we just found this pop-up event, and I was like, we just are gonna go. We need to get out of the house. We need to just go stand in a long line and do nothing. Like,
yeah.
So we did that, and we get there, and Charlotte is so excited. Like, we don't really do the whole like Santa brings you gifts, but we do the experience of Santa. Like, it's fun to talk about him and watch movies about him, but we don't do like the Santa comes down your chimney deal. And so she's so excited until we get up to the Santa, and she's like terrified out of her mind, and is just like standing there in her picture, and she's just like with her eyes wide open, cutting up at Santa, like absolutely terrified. And Lila, we try to put her in Santa's lap, and it's like that quintessential photo of like a baby screaming when they sit on Santa's lap, and I'm like, my kids are going to be forever traumatized. I know.
It's a rite of passage.
Then a week later, Bluey came to town, and there was like a pop-up event at the most random place, Chicken Salad Chick. I don't know if y'all have those around where you live.
We do.
But for some reason, Bluey showed up at Chicken Salad Chick, and so we were just like, let's go, get out of the house, go see Bluey. And they were, again, both so excited about it. And the second we get up to Bluey, both of them start screaming hysterically. Why did we wait in this line for 45 minutes?
They have good intentions, but
they do.
It's fun.
Oh, man.
Oh, I love it. I love it
so many stories. I feel like I could write a book on stories that I've experienced, like in the workplace with little kids, and then stories of my own kids. And gosh, yeah. But I think we should end this episode just with a few like nuggets of wisdom. Not that we're experts on winning the toddler age stage, but I feel like you've had 3 toddlers, I have 2 toddlers. Like, we've learned a few things. So Blaine, I don't know if you want to go first on just like just a nugget of wisdom or two of just about toddlers.
Well, first of all, super simple. Show them grace and yourself just as much grace as you show your toddler. They're not grown. You're not even grown. y'all are both still learning, and just show grace and give yourself as much grace. Mom guilt is not welcome here.
Oh,
Like,
no shame. Yeah.
I felt some this week, and then I realized they're still having the best life.
Yeah.
Even if I could, just because I've been out of the house a few times this week, more so than other weeks, and not with them as much. But I was like, no, I'm pouring into my cup so that I can pour into my family. So
yeah,
that's a whole other thing. But so no mom guilt here. Okay. Throw it out the window.
it's gone.
But then also, I, as a Christ follower, knew the gospel, knew the whole crucifixion. Like, God sent his only son on earth to die for the weight of our sins. And in my son's nursery, one day when he was probably a couple months old, maybe just a tiny newborn, it hit me that, like, this is my only son. And God, I can never give this child up as a sacrifice for other people. So I don't know how you ever did it. And that's when I knew it was just
the
like
weight
the
of
weight.
that.
I mean, that's when I was like, I can, because this child is not mine. God,
I'm still working through that. Gosh, yeah.
It's like almost a daily take up your cross. Like, these kids are not mine. They were given to me to steward here on earth. God obviously has a lot of confidence in me to give me these 3 tiny disciples, but I just had to give up control at that point of, like, I could keep him the safest in the world with all the guardrails, safety nets, protection, prayer, guidance, love, hope, and still, like, God is going to hold each of my kids, and I will love them and nurture them as long as I have them here on this earth, which is, I hope, for a very, very, very long time. But also, they're his, and just committing them back to the Lord it's a really big release.
Yeah.
And really terrifying. So
it is. Gosh,
that's my wisdom. That's my advice. That's my what I've walked through and experienced. There you go.
Yeah. I love that. And just remembering, like, it's a good reminder for me to just, my kids are not my own. Like, and I struggle with that, of just like surrendering. I struggle with surrendering my own life, and I definitely struggle with surrendering my kids' lives. I think that's just where sin comes in, and the devil tries to weasel his way into your thoughts and your mind and your heart. And you have to actively work against that and just proclaim the name of Jesus all day, every day, because without him, we would all be failing. I think on my end is, like, teach your kids about Jesus, like play worship music. Like, there is nothing sweeter. Like, my girls, they love music, they love dancing, they will sing. They can't carry a tune, but it's fine. I'll be okay. My hopes and dreams for my children are now shattered. No. If you don't know, I'm a classically trained vocalist, so hearing my children sing off key is kind of gut-wrenching.
Yep. Andrew is just praying one of our kids can sing like me, because they love to sing. He's like, I hope they can't sing like me, like him. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, we can only hope.
But yeah, that has been we've been through a lot of transition the last, 2 or 3 months. And that has really been like the constant, is just like reading our kids little Bible stories. And sometimes those stories feed me probably more than my children. Like, we sit down and read the Jesus Storybook Bible, and like, that's my devotional for the day. Like, because that's what I can pour into it, and like, there is nothing sweeter than hearing my oldest child sing "I Speak Jesus" over and over and over and over and over again. Like, yesterday she had her 3-year appointment, and we were in the car, and all of a sudden she just starts going, Jesus in the mountains, Jesus in the street, and just starts singing like that over and over again. And I'm like, I feel like in this moment, everything else doesn't matter. Like, I feel like in this moment, I'm doing something right. Mind you, she doesn't sleep at night. She doesn't do like, she's not a good sleeper. She's not a good eater. But like, to me, things are just, they pale in comparison to like hearing her like sing about Jesus, talk about, she talks about John the Baptist. I don't know why she talks about John the Baptist.
I love it.
She's like,
I love it.
Yeah. And so it's just like, get your kids in the word. Like, my favorite tool for that is the Jesus Storybook Bible. They have really great pictures.
I like that one.
They just explain the stories on a digestible level for kids. So if you don't have that, definitely go get it. We'll link it in the show notes. And then just blasting that worship music, because I fully believe in the power of words and how words can teach children about Jesus and his love. And songs like I Speak Jesus or I Thank God or Praise, like they just really encapsulate like what our lives are supposed to look like as Jesus followers and how we can, I don't know, present that to our kids well. So that's my nugget of advice. And I think I can second Blaine in saying like grace upon grace upon grace upon grace for you, your kids, your husband, your parents. Like, my parents have a vastly different philosophy of parenting than I do, and having grace for them in that space when they're around my kids, that's really hard. But having grace upon grace upon grace for everyone you encounter and encounters your kids is really going to get you through those tough moments. And there's no guilt, no shame here. And Blaine and I are both having to actively fight against that. So you're not alone.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh man. Well, this episode is way longer than our episodes, but we had so much to talk about, and I love this conversation, and we would love to just hear from you. Like, tell us, send us a DM, or if you know Blaine and I personally, send us a text, like what you're encouraged by what you're hearing. And we would love it if you would go on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leave us a review and then share with your friends. We are really passionate about You Are More and just the ministry that it can be and the ministry that it already is. And we want to pour our whole selves into it. And so we thank you for, those who have stuck with us from the beginning and just given us the encouragement and to hold us to keep doing this. And anything you want to hear us talk about, as you know, we're not experts on anything, but we can be connoisseurs of everything. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So we hope that you guys enjoy your week, and that you can just go into the next few weeks of the holiday season just really at peace, and remembering what this season is all about, and that's the little baby Jesus.
Yes.
So we will catch you next time, and see ya.